Since Sirhan's gun could expel 8 bullets at most, proof of more than 8 shots would be proof of a second gun. In 2007, forensic expert Philip Van Praag announces what he says is just such proof, a recently uncovered audio tape of the Kennedy shooting, known as the Pruszynski recording, actually revealing what he says are shots fired from a second gun.
New information on the debate over an American mystery and tragedy.
Could there have been more than one shooter involved in the 1968 assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy?
New forensics evidence was presented yesterday.
The Pruszynski recording, the only audio recording of the assassination.
A soundtrack of that night, and even the soundtrack indicated there were 2 different guns firing. It's really not a theory, it's a fact.
Okay.
Now, to be sure, many people still believe the official findings of a lone gunman, but many others believe that there is evidence of a second shooter. Now, why did it take nearly 4 decades for this new audio evidence to emerge? And how did the audio engineer Philip Van Praag obtain this tape that he claims is proof of a second gun? Well, it turns out that Van Praag got the recording through one of our senior writers here at CNN. And that's the backstory.
The Pruszynski recording was uncovered on May 31st, I believe, of 2004 by an American journalist, Brad Johnson, who is a senior news writer with CNN International in Atlanta.
This was a recording that I had accessed from the California State Archives.
All right, so you've got the tape. What did you glean from that?
When I listened to it, the recording featured Senator Kennedy's victory speech. After that, it also had various ambient sounds from the hotel, some of which I recognized from other recordings I'd heard researching the case. Suddenly I heard something that was not on the other recordings, followed by a woman's scream. The scream probably meant the shooting had just occurred, so I rewound the tape to see what had preceded the scream. And I definitely heard something that was not on the other recordings. Rapid pop sounds. I knew that these must be the actual gunshots from the Kennedy shooting.
This was the real thing. There was actually gunshots on a tape when Bobby Kennedy was shot. And I heard distinctly the first time I listened 7 shots, maybe 8. I listened a second time and heard 8 shots.
The shots come so quickly that it took me a while, but eventually I heard 8 rapidly fired shots.
The police say that there were 8. The gun that Sirhan had was capable of firing 8 shots. So, okay, there's your 8 shots.
It was clear to me that these audible shots might not be all the shots that were fired in the kitchen pantry. The most frequent shooting pattern that was mentioned by witnesses was 2 shots, then a pause, then a string of rapidly fired shots. Now, all I was hearing in the recording was 8 rapidly fired shots. So where are the first 2 shots apparently preceding this string of 8 shots? Could those first 2 shots be there somewhere in the recording, just simply inaudible to the naked ear? Could they be picked up with sophisticated equipment? It was obvious that I had to get this recording analyzed. There was no question about it. So I went to 2 audio experts and had that done.
I was able to count at least 9, possibly 11 shot sounds, 9 of which I was fairly certain were sounds of an actual shot.
Well, there were 13 shot sounds that I found on that recording, up to the point where the screams just totally overrode all of the other audio, and it would have been impossible to recover any shot sounds beyond that point. So the discovery of 13 shot sounds in and of itself establishes a second gun from the standpoint of Sirhan's capacity being only 8 shots.
One audio expert found 9 to 11 shots, the other 13, but both found more than the maximum 8 shots that Sirhan could have fired with his one and only gun, which he had no opportunity to reload. But the Van Praag analysis of the Pruszynski recording goes even farther, beyond number of shots to intervals between shots.
The second discovery was the presence of 2 double shot instances, and that is 2 shots that occur so closely together as to preclude the possibility of having come from a single weapon.
The Van Prague analysis concludes that the Pruszynski recording is authentic, that these 13 sounds are gunshots, not balloons bursting or ricochets or echoes or other things, that they came from two separate guns firing nearly simultaneously in less than 6 seconds. And these double shots, this virtual overlap, was mentioned that night by some witnesses who apparently perceived the significance.
It's a very quick string of shots that just sounded very close together.
It sounded to me that the progression of shots was too rapid to be simply one person.
But they all went off with a staccato burst, and it was almost like rapid fire. The guy must have just squeezed them off as fast as he possibly could. And if there were two people, that would account for the seemingly sequence of shots.
It's very clear that there were witnesses that suspected that there was a second gunman in the room, the very thing that the Pruszynski recording now confirms. The discovery of the Pruszynski tape recording is the most significant event in the investigation of Robert Kennedy murder, and I believe will break the case.
You know, at the end there, you were hearing the voice of Paul Schrade speaking. He was actually a friend of Bobby Kennedy's and was also shot that night 41 years ago. Now, due in large part to the evidence in that Pruszynski recording, Schrade and a team of lawyers are putting pressure on, pushing for a new official investigation into the RFK shooting. Should be interesting to follow that. Well, tell us